It is estimated that more than 50 people have already died and been buried as a result of the demolition of the market. In terms of even contribution to the GDP of the state, you know, how do you compare that motor park and the vibrancy of what was happening in the market?
Prior to 2023, Nigeria observed something different where it was said that three persons in a room were tweeting. When the presidential election came up, we saw something different, and that tsunami was so alarming. Coming to 2027, we all had great hopes, and the president of the Federal Republic decided to make a change in the INEC chairman and brought in a man. And everybody felt like, wow, this was going to make the difference. But here we are today. Enugu decides the same way every other state decides what they do. Today, on this episode, we have a veteran, General Chris Eze.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Is this what we were occupy? What did you?
We're just coming from INEC office. Occupy INEC is an initiative of our leaders, which was implemented in the INEC national office before our national convention. Then it's supposed to happen in all the states. So it's only now, in today, that we did ours in Enugu. So it's complementing what has been done in other places.
Okay, so all those stay in Abuja. Now it's coming down to states.
Exactly.
Now coming down to our own states,
Yeah.
Enugu State.
Yeah.
After the state convention, we had like 3 states chairmen, and every one of them claimed to be the rightful person. So what's your position? Is the house divided?
First and foremost, we didn't have 3 states chairmen resulting from the congresses that you are referring to. The subsisting chairman then, the lady called Mrs. Stella Chukwum, the national headquarters of ADC itself has clarified that the tenure of the existing structures will continue until the 12th of May. So Mrs. Chukwuma was the substantive chairman. I'm sure you know that because of her anti-party activities, she turned out to be one of those that were expelled from the party during the national convention. Then we were the ones, a party congress, to be valid, has to be conducted with the participation of the state executive committee of the party. So our Congress is the one that is legitimate and legal, because all the members of the state structure took part in those congresses, minus the woman who before the congresses had taken a position that was at variance with what the leadership represented, which subsequently resulted in her expulsion. But you know, they say soldier come, soldier go, barrack remain. So the fact that the chairman of an organization follows the rules of the organization and then gets suspended or expelled, as was the case of Mrs. Chukwum, the party remains, the party structure remains. So it devolved on her deputy, Mr. Obeta. So the party remains. Now, the other I don't know whether to call them faction or group. The other group that is purporting to have produced another chairman, because of the non-participation of the state structure of the party, the recognized state structure of the party, that makes it null and void ab initio. But what is the true situation now is that it is for the National Working Committee to sit and take a final decision on it. So I'm just giving you a technical background. So I am confident that the National Working Committee is going to ratify me as the chairman of the party in Enugu State.
All right. As a one-time envoy, that's an ambassador of Nigeria under the APC.
Yes.
So why did you all of a sudden leave APC for Labour and now to the ADC?
Okay, it's a very good question. When I was one of the first people to campaign for General Buhari. If you remember, many top people in Nigeria felt that Buhari was coming to give us a good governance, including General Obasanjo, for instance, the former president, who at the time tore his PDP card on television. So people held very high hopes. So that's when I joined. And that was 2013. So then the party, I was a foundation member of APC. So and then General Buhari's government, when he came to power, he appointed me ambassador, and our ambassadors that go to Commonwealth countries are called high commissioners. Then the ones that go to non-Commonwealth countries are called ambassadors. Just technical terms. So I was in India I had concurrent accreditation to Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. So I was covering those 4 countries. And I did my best. That also coincided when COVID happened. So we had challenging times. But I came back home in 2020. And I was still with the party until the presidential primaries. Incidentally, during the presidential primaries, I worked with and for Chief, the late Obonaron. So led. Eventually, Tinubu won the primaries. But when he brought Shetima as his running mate, I resigned. And in my resignation letter, I put three reasons. That letter was dated 4th August 2022. And I said the first reason was that, in principle, I disagreed with the Muslim ticket. Because Nigeria's heterogeneity, both in tribal composition and in faiths and all, and in world views, that it didn't bode well for Nigeria to be seen, and that Muslim same faith ticket was not good for the country. That was the first reason I gave, that I could not defend such a thing when the campaign started. Then the second reason, I said that I was convinced that Peter Obi was the person that would make the best president then during that election. And then thirdly, I also said that Peter Obi would make the best person for president, that's Chijioke Edoga, was best for governor of Enugu State, and that the late Okeza would be best for the senator representing my own senatorial district. Then finally, I said that what the way Ugochukwu was running the party in Enugu State was not to my liking. And funny enough, Ugochukwu has proved me right because he was with Chief Nnaji, and right now he has abandoned Nnaji to go and join Peter Mba that he used to excoriate. Everybody listening was hearing all the nasty things he was saying about Peter Mba, but he has joined, which now justifies, the distaste for his approach. So those were the three reasons, and I did my best to contribute to the landslide that we had in Enugu State during the election. Everybody knows how the victory of Chiote Doga was eventually hijacked by Peter Mba. That one is in the public domain. So now I remained in ADC. I remained in Labour Party, until 31st December, when Peter Obi joined the ADC at Nike Lake. So all of us now. So that's how I find myself now in ADC. And then, luckily, as I came into ADC, I found a whole host of prominent leaders in Nigeria. So a grand coalition is what it is, and that grand coalition is a big strength.
Okay, thank you. Coming from the APC ab initio,
Yes.
When Jonathan was on seat, and when they looked trying to remove him, the same APC and other parties came together to form a coalition.
Yes.
Now that we are having another coalition, and General Eze is also in that same coalition, do you think that you people will still replicate what you guys did before now?
I think so. In fact, if not, you see the cap I'm putting on, Occupy INEC. I'm sure that we'll come to talk about it. It is the panic of President Tinubu on realizing that the potential that the coalition this time has this time is even more potent than the one that APC represented in 2015. That's why he's panicking, and that's why he's behind the scenes, trying to sow confusion in. He has killed PDP, he has killed the Labour Party, but he has found it impossible to kill ADC. So he's using, or rather, the way that the INEC chairman is behaving. What the Igbo say, Nsukka people say, na unu na-ete egwu na-echichi ụzọ n'ihe na-echi na-egwu nọ n'ime ọsha, that the bird that is dancing in the middle of the road has the drummer somewhere in the bush. So we are convinced that it is the APC government that is using the INEC channel, and that is why we are on this Occupy INEC campaign.
Okay, so what do you people tend to achieve with this occupying INEC beyond what is in the public domain?
No, what we want to achieve is multifaceted. One is to sensitize the Nigerian populace and the international community that we as a party, that we are conscious of INEC's shenanigans. The second one is to having recognized that the games they are playing is in the public domain. I don't know whether to use the word shame, to shame the INEC chairman to resign, or to shame the government into dropping him, because the credibility of Nigerian elections is very important. If anything happens to cause chaos in this country, given our population and the proven statistics that out of every 5 black men in the entire world, one is a Nigerian. So the potential of unrest in this country is huge, or rather the potential consequences of unrest in this country is huge, and they say prevention is better than cure. Given the frustrations that Nigerians are facing, the huge debt overhang, and the government is still borrowing more. The insecurity, all the litany of things, the inflation on unimaginable inflation, the insensitivity of government at all levels, the narrowing of the democratic space, So given all these things, Nigeria is boiling, if I may put it that way. So a safety valve has to be opened, and that safety valve is best described in terms of free and fair elections, so that people can give their own verdict and their verdict can count. And so it is the level of frustration, of the level of challenges that the ordinary person was facing during Jonathan's time is very infinitesimal compared to what is happening now. In fact, one could even say that if we were to go back to Jonathan's time, that it would be a kind of El Dorado compared to what we are seeing now. So we believe, and if we sensitize the Nigerian populace, we believe that they can also rise and demand their rights, because it is the ability to change a non-performing government that is the biggest assurance, the biggest assurance of the best way to fight all the ills of society, including corruption, nepotism, all these kind of things.
Okay, so let's now come down to our state.
Yes.
Enugu. In your assessment, how would you assess the government of Peter Ndubisi Mba?
One word: abysmal.
Why do you say so?
Why I say that is Abraham Lincoln famously described democracy as government of the people, for the people, and by the people. That's Lincoln's description of democracy. Just go outside and ask the average person passing on the road. Go outside. The taxation is terrible. People, women selling vegetables, people selling pure water, being taxed. And that tax is a taxation that cannot even be accounted for, because it's collected by touts.
But I thought he has abolished us.
Well, the fact that he says that he has abolished it is enough evidence that even he himself has now belatedly realized that is a draconian measure. So that abolition is the biggest testament to the fact that it's a terrible policy, and it's a policy that has been on for 3 years. And how are you sure that it has actually been abolished? Have you gone to the markets and seen any cessation of its collection? Number two, in fact, the one that is the worst, that is much worse, the worst amongst it, is the disregard of the rule of law. All these houses that he had demolished, the houses, the markets, people's means of livelihood, some people went to court, obtained court orders against those demolition, and he didn't care. And when a major reason why people complain about military rule is because it's the perceived arbitrariness. So we are now in a so-called democracy, and then that arbitrariness is worse than any. I don't think that there is any military governor or any military administrator that could have ever imagined doing what Peter Mba is doing now. Somebody that that claims to have come through a democratic process. You know, you demolish people's houses, you don't value the houses, and then you don't make arrangements to see whether they have valid papers. You know, if somebody gets a building plan approval and goes to site a house in a particular place, if once that approval is given, because government is a continuum, once that approval is given, it means that approval represents the permission of the appropriate authorities for him. So if he doesn't have the approval, you can demolish his house. But if he has the approval and you now say that the house is where it's not supposed to be, you have to value it, you have to compensate him, because that approval ab initio says that the state, as an ongoing concern, agrees that the house should be sited in that particular place. If you go to Nsukka, the demolition of Ogige Market, as at last count, I don't know, it is estimated that more than 50 people have already died and been buried as a result of the demolition of Ogige Market. Now, a motor park and the filling station are there. Now, in terms of even contribution to the GDP of the state, you know, how do you compare that motor park and the vibrancy of what was happening in Ogige Market? Then, but he wrote a manifesto that nobody dictated for him, said he was going to build 10,000 kilometers of roads. You know, I don't know where the 10,000 kilometers of roads is. I come from Udenu. There's not a single government road that has been built in Udenu by the state government. And that is how it is every other place. You know, yes, it is true that some roads are being resurfaced in Enugu. But Enugu State doesn't end in Enugu alone. You know, okay, they say he's building teaching big hospitals and international conference center. Now, international conference center, they build Enugu A. Tell me, what the average person in Enugu State, the common man in Enugu State, how does he benefit from all those things? And then, Nsukka, for instance, doesn't have a single teaching hospital. The entire Nsukka as a senatorial district. And statistically, Nsukka with issues has cumulatively 54% of the population of Enugu State. Here in Enugu, you have a Parkland, you have a UNTH in Ituku there, and then another hospital, it's a 300-bed hospital, is now being built by government, and the hospitals are supposed to be built to serve people. You understand? So I don't want to go sub-ethnic, but any Nsukka person that is clapping for this government, he needs his head examined, honestly speaking. It doesn't make sense. You know, if the job of a leader, the primary job of any father is to be fair to his family. And his family means if he's a polygamist, he should treat the children of wife A the way he treats the children of wife B. But this guy has no concern at all for more than half of the population of the state. So what kind of leadership is there? You know, now he's stomping around to go for endorsements and then rallies and all that. But for 3 years, he has been governing through Zoom, as they said. You go, and then however big you are, and you say you want to see him, he will address you on CCTV. What kind of government is that? So it's a complete and total failure.
All right. In summation, thank you, General Eze, retired. In summation, is ADC a credible alternative?
Yes. ADC is not only a credible alternative, but ADC is the only alternative. All the other platforms have been willfully destroyed. And if can you imagine the late Vincent Oglafo, may he continue to rest in peace. When he was national chairman of a Labour Party, of PDP, he once came and said, "Oh, the PDP was going to rule Nigeria for 60 years." You know, and if you go to Mexico, you know, he got it from Mexico because a party called the PRI in Mexico, you know, ruled Mexico directly for 60 years. So he got that inspiration and made that statement. So how many years or months did the PDP last and it went? Wike killed PDP, and Wike told everybody after the convention ground in Abuja, when he contested for presidency, that he was going to deal with PDP. He has successfully killed PDP. All right? Labour Party, which was a very vibrant party, and which the ordinary Nigerians felt, the ordinary Nigerians felt was going to be the vessel of their redemption. You know, they used the Julius Abre to kill it. And Nigeria cannot be a one-party state. It's not possible. So the last man standing is ADC. So it is not only a viable alternative, but is the alternative. Nigerians have no other place to go apart from ADC.
Thank you very much. We're delighted.
Thank you.